Welcome to the Station of Light, Keepers of Light, and I call you that because you are just that, Keepers of Light. So I'm within the station, and I've been within the station, but basically every day, and I am noticing how it works like a decompression chamber, like a decompression zone. And this brings me to a topic about conclusion, the topic about conclusions, and how much of what happens and much of how reality is structured is within conclusions. And these are important. Conclusions are important because they help create boundaries and they help to establish a medium whereby participation can occur. Meaning, like we're looking at systems, we're looking at school systems, and we're looking at our let's say fire departments and hospitals, and we're looking at all the different structures that exist to support the network of participation when it comes to fulfilling the needs of its people. Then there are many conclusions that are supportive of the structures. There needs to be conclusions in order to support structure. However, what I'm seeing is that even though structure is based on conclusion, that there is also this aspect of new structures coming into form, and that they come into form when emergence is allowed, when there is an opening, when there is an opening to the structure. And it's not necessarily that everyone has to participate within that way of showing up in their realities. A lot of people are here to help support existing structures, and that is important because it is the baseline from which emergence occurs. So I think what I'm getting to here is really just to talk about conclusions when it comes to the personal perspective, from a personal point of view, what conclusions mean and what conclusions can mean if they're allowed to no longer participate within your reality as conclusions, but as questions, as inquiries that now help to support emergence when emergence is what you're sensing is what your structure is calling for. And in many ways, you wouldn't really be listening to me if you weren't sensing that there is a potential for you to revisit some of or many of the conclusions that you have come to yourselves, which beforehand had been what had stabilized the reality that you were in. This is why I have been participating within the station in relation to the inquiries that I come up with and wind up observing. They're intended as an expression, as a model to that way of participating within your own life that can be helpful in terms of allowing emergence being a new form of expressionism, a new form of structure that can be experienced, that can be alchemized, that stands as the result of the alchemization of this process of observation, of this process of putting to question the conclusions that we have drawn beforehand about what experience means in the first place. So I started the mapping room because what I have noticed is that the station is operating to help make things, to make value visible, to make what would have once been perceived as hidden value possible. This is not to say that there is no value, that value does not exist, across the board. It does, but that within the living structures that we are in, within our own personal structures that we live in, which is to say, like, our own personal lives, they are structured around patterns, and they're structured around beliefs and emotions, and all of these aspects which help to support the your participation within them. If you are not able to step away from them, or to be able to reorient yourself so that you are now able to observe those patterns, what happens is you are not able to perceive those aspects, because the differentiation is there but not seen, which is why the reality of it is perceived as being hidden. But the reality of it is that change, especially when it comes to the type of changes that we are looking for, as pertaining to our self-empowerment and self-autonomy and agency and sovereignty, that when we're talking about this subject about change, that we have more of a way of participating relative to change that can be experienced more as a choice point than the ways in which the existing structures are calling for us to participate in, which is, to keep things the same way, to keep things the same, not as pushing against emergence, but as how reality exists in the first place. It does exist to support stability. It exists to support continuity. And when we're looking at change, we're not looking at changing from that perspective of pushing against that which is already existing, but in recognizing that change itself is not something that we need to look for, that it is already occurring. And when you're repositioning your point of view, when you're reorienting how you are perceiving your reality, the same reality that you've been in and that you have been participating in, then give me 1 second. I'll be back. That was my daughter. I was saying that we're not in that position where we're needing to push against how things are, even though we are seeing how things are, have cracks in them, that there's cracks in the system. Just because there are cracks in the system doesn't mean that we're have to put our focus to repairing them. Maybe it just means that we can allow ourselves to observe the parts that are already functioning, that we are putting our focus to that which is functioning. And when we are observing what is functioning and what we are observing in terms of what it is that's functioning, and seeing how it is valuable, then what really happens is that we begin to open up the scope of visibility, to expand the scope of visibility that is available to us, so that we can build upon that which we're coming from. And I want to keep this message short, so I'm going to end it here. But I do want to point out that Capybara is here. Capybara and Bee are here. they are the mascots to the station, and they've been accompanying me from room to room, from space to space, and I am still seeing the possibilities that are now expanding from the station itself in terms of how it is able to represent the messaging that it is here to help you and to help any participant who steps into the station from wherever you are, because the station's platform itself is one that is experienced by all, regardless of location, regardless of where you are situated. You are able to perceive in that same way that we all have in common what supports the nature of the reality itself that we are in. It is what we have and that what we share in common. And so from that commonality is also the potential for us to come together in terms of building communities and establishing ways of moving forward in that way that is more peaceful in nature, and not necessarily needing to oppose what is already existing. All right, until next time.